it's now scientifically proven that if you've suffered some form of trauma in your life, you are more likely to get a disease of some sort as you grow up. Your body is so clever. This is what I've learned over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Your body's amazing and it wants to be healthy.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to be sick. You know, you weren't born deficient in medication. If I did have a flare, I know exactly what to do to get it back under control without taking any medication. And that, to me, is worth more than anything because it's just complete empowerment.
Yeah,
I don't have to
definitely.
rely on a doctor to fix me anymore. I can now fix myself. As a society that we cannot have any control over our own health, that as soon as we start to get a symptom or an ailment, we have to go to a doctor to fix us. But really, it's all within us.
Okay, welcome to the Drake Michigan podcast. Today I've got my good friend Georgie Lambert, and she is a nurse for her sins, and natural nurse. And I think Georgie's going to tell us some great stories and inspiring stories. One of which I can't wait to get into, and I'm sure we'll get into that when you're ready. But is the fact that you cured your own Crohn's with diet, didn't you?
Yeah.
But what I was going to suggest is that if we have a bit of a life story, because obviously an illness generally comes from some kind of trauma, doesn't it? And maybe you want to talk about anything from your past that maybe have brought on Crohn's. I know my partner's going through a situation at the moment, and I would imagine that's come from a traumatic experience she had. Is that something that resonates with yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was little, I had a pretty normal childhood up until I was about 7.
Yeah.
And then my mum got in with the wrong crowd and she became a drug addict.
Oh, right.
So she was a drug addict for a long time. Now she's fine now, thank God. She's been clean for many years, over 12 years now. So she's completely turned her life around. But I spent a long part of my childhood watching her as a drug addict. You know, I suffered neglect, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. And although I never thought it was intentional, you know, that's the sort of abuse that I suffered. And then when I was 12, I went to live with my dad, and he sexually abused me.
Oh my God.
From the age of 13 to 16 when I ran away from home. So I suffered a lot of trauma in my childhood. And when you've been through a lot of trauma for a prolonged period of time, it does a lot of damage to your nervous system. Yeah. And so you're constantly in the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight nervous system. And that eventually does take its toll on the body, and it can then start to manifest into disease.
Yes,
so
of course.
I'm not saying that all disease comes from that, but it's now scientifically proven that if you've suffered some form of trauma in your life, you are more likely to get a disease of some sort as you grow up. Yeah. Whether that's a mental health problem, whether that's a physical health problem, but you are more likely to develop some form of illness as you grow up. Yeah.
So when you were young and you were experiencing the situation with your mother first, were you, because you were quite young there, were you aware of your mum was struggling in that manner? Yeah.
I was always, I suppose I was more wise for my years than
were you really?
Actually, yeah,
so a bit of an old soul then.
Yeah. I can even remember the first time my mum told me she was taking drugs. I was 7 and I was in the bath, and I remember that. Wow. Yeah, so it's like I could always see the change in her, because my mum's a lovely person. She's always been a lovely person, and I love her dearly, and I've got a great relationship with her now, and I'm really grateful for that, because not everyone gets that, do they?
No,
you know,
they don't.
Some people unfortunately lose their parents to drugs. They die or
that's right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But my mum's always been a wonderful person. So when I was little and we had this really close relationship, for then to suddenly just be changed, I knew something was wrong. You know, like seeing her the way she was, she was just like a shadow of her former self. And to witness that was really hard. But I had a younger sister as well. Okay. Bernie, she obviously went through it all with me as well, because we have the same mum but different dads. And yeah, it was really, really tough just watching my mum dwindle away in front of me. Yeah, it was really hard.
Were you almost looking after your sister then as well, in a way?
Yeah, I did bring my sister up, actually.
Did you?
So when there's 6 years between me and my sister. When I was 19, I took my sister in. I was living with one of my friends at the time. Helen, and I took my sister in because my mum, well, she wasn't going to school, my sister. So my mum was like a neglector in a way. My sister didn't want to go to high school. She was just skiving off all the time. She wasn't being looked after. And I took it upon myself to take her in. So I looked after my sister for 5 years.
Right.
So I had to get my own house. I had to move out of my friends and get my own house, bring my sister up. I became a kinship carer. I went through social services.
Wow.
And I brought her up for 5 years. And that was really tough because I was at uni as well, training to be a nurse. So it was just so much going on.
So strong, Georgie.
All this stress, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was hard.
What was it like being in school at that time? Did you have friends? Was school tough because obviously you got this huge situation going on at home, and was it a relief to go to school? What was it like?
Do you know, I masked it really well.
Did you?
Like, anybody watching this now who knows me from school will be shocked to hear this because I masked it so well. And even though a lot of my friends knew my mum was weird or a bit different, if you will, we were all little. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just masked it really well, and I did have friends, you know, and I just pretended that everything was normal. Even at high school, even when I was living with my dad and all that was going on with him, you know, I masked it really well. I kept it in really well. But that's what it does. So when you're looking strong on the outside, it's what it's doing to you on the inside.
I think a lot of people wear masks, don't they?
Yeah,
generally,
absolutely.
anyway.
Yeah.
Especially trying to fit in sort of peer situations, because you don't want to make things worse for yourself, do you?
No.
You want to try and just have some normality, don't you? Especially if you've got horrific situation like that at home, and you just want some normality, which would be the peer situation, the social situation.
Yeah.
So did you not have anyone to confide in? Did you never do anything like that at the time? You just kept everything in?
Yeah, I just kept it all in, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, that must have been... So how did that end with your dad then? Did you get away? Did you escape the situation?
Yeah, so, I mean, things started to escalate, and I noticed things were escalating, and I think if I hadn't left home when I did, things would have got...
Really?
I think he would have raped me, yeah.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
So I ran away from home at 16. I ran away to Crohn, went to live with one of my friends.
Yeah.
For a while. Went off the rails. You know,
As
I went
would.
off the rails.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
I met my first boyfriend at 16. I was taking recreational drugs. I was out every weekend, binge drinking. I was just wild. I just went a bit nuts for a few years, as you do. And, I don't know, it was just really... It's one of those times in my life that I don't ever want to...
Face up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really shit, to be honest with you.
I can imagine, yeah. Yeah.
But when I left home, I didn't speak to my dad for a while. And then he met someone else. So he split up for his ex-wife and he met someone else. And then me and my dad had a normal relationship.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, we had a normal relationship for quite a few years, and nothing was ever mentioned.
Okay.
So there was no mention of abuse. There was no mention of it. We had a normal father-daughter relationship.
Right.
And for the first time ever, I felt like I had
a dad.
A normal dad.
Yeah.
And what it was, so in 2014, his ex-wife, my dad's had a few wives, contacted me. She said, "I need to see you." So I said, "Okay." So I went to meet up with my nana, which is my dad's mum.
Yeah.
And she said, "I need to tell you something." She said, "Your dad sexually abused," because, so she'd found this diary. This girl had tried to commit suicide. And it all came out that my dad had done the same to her. Now, at the time, my dad's new girlfriend had two young daughters. And it was going over and over and over in my mind. And I thought, I can't keep this in any longer. And it was eating me away inside, because I thought, if I don't say something now, he's going to do that again. Probably to these other two girls. So I reported him.
Right, good.
So I went to the police, filed a report, and it went, it was formally investigated. My whole family found out about it. I was living with a lot of shame. It was really tough.
I can imagine.
And obviously, I'd not been speaking to my dad before this came out for a couple of months. We'd fallen out over something daft. But obviously, that was the nail in the coffin when I reported him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it all came out. But if I hadn't said something, God knows what could have happened to them 2 other kids. And I couldn't live with that.
No. How old were you then?
So that was 2015 when I reported him.
Right.
So, well, I'm 38 now.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the fact that you live in shame shows the kind of person you are as well, because you don't need to take that shame on, do you? Really,
No.
You know, you were doing absolutely the right thing, but as an empathic, wonderful soul, you seem to take shame as well, which is that is sad, really, that you needed to do that, because you did absolutely the right thing, because without that, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. And I just thought, I don't know what's happened to them girls. I don't know, because I've not spoken to my dad for all them years now.
Wow.
It came out, you know, it was all investigated. I was going through therapy.
Yeah.
And before it was going to go to court, it was Christmas Eve, and the police woman who was dealing with it, the detective, came to my house and she said, we've decided we can't move forward. We can't it's not going to go any further, because the other girl who did it to, she's not strong enough to give evidence, because she was in a really bad way.
Right.
And it was literally my word against his, because it was historic. And some of the things he did weren't classed as something to do with the legislation that was in place at the time. This is the failings of the criminal justice system.
Yes.
You know, that so many people go through. And there was, you know, and it was so, I was so distraught that it was going to get away with it. And God knows where he is now. He's still walking around, God knows where, scot-free, probably doing it to other girls. But I am so grateful that it happened, because all that heaviness that was on me, it all lifted.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to carry it around anymore.
That's good.
And it was all out in the open, and everybody knew about it. So I didn't have to carry it around with me anymore.
Yeah.
So it set me free. And you know, as cheesy as it sounds, the truth will set you free.
It is
honestly,
true, though.
it really does set you free.
And it's hard to face that.
It is.
It's one of the toughest things anyone would have to do, is face that huge shadow and put forgiveness in it. I remember doing something nowhere near as traumatic as that. I mean, everyone has their own traumas, I suppose, and everyone's individual traumas are as big, whatever they are. But I remember going through self-healing last year. I held resentment towards my ex-wife for 10 years. And that rucksack got heavier and heavier and heavier until I forgave her last year. And I looked at it all, and I remember going through the self-healing and thinking, she was the last one that I was going to do that self-healing with, I suppose, in my own psyche, I suppose. And because I knew that was the biggest part that I needed to release, because it hurt my daughter. The whole situation was a painful experience. And I was like, well, okay. So it needs to be so true, that forgiveness. Otherwise, I'm going to be lying to myself. I needed to make sure that I can forgive you properly. Yeah. Otherwise, it's never going to release. And I remember when I did it, and I just cried. I just sobbed. Yeah. I spent it was in meditation, and I remember going through so much of it. Yeah. The years of various it's abuse, really, and let it go. Yeah. Wow.
And that's hard, the thing. That's part of what's healed my illness. You know, is that I've had to learn to forgive, and it's hard, because it's easy to just hold on to that anger and that resentment and say, well, he's an arsehole or whatever.
It is.
But that is not helping you.
It doesn't help you at all. It makes things worse, and it gets worse every year. Yeah, it does. It gets heavier. That was my experience anyway.
It does.
Can I take you back a bit again to when you were at school? So even all this is going on, you must have had ambition. So because you've ended up going into nursing, you would have gone into college from school then?
No.
So how did that? What happened? What did you do?
I was a bit of a wild one, as I say. When I ran away at 16, I literally did my GCSEs, and the week after I left home. Right. Okay. Because I knew I didn't want to be in there anymore. But I needed to do my GCSEs. I wanted some qualifications. Yeah, yeah. And I was a bit of a class clown at school. Right. I had the brains, but I didn't use it.
Were you fitting in though? Was the class clown again part of the mask though? Because I did that.
Absolute facade. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I wasn't a popular girl, but I wasn't an unpopular girl. I was somebody who was sat in the middle, who spoke to everybody. You know, like you'd get all
Yeah.
the popular girls who'd only speak to the popular people.
Yeah.
And then you get the geeks who wouldn't like mingle with anyone at all.
Oh, no, bless 'em.
I was like in the middle,
Yeah.
you know, and I would always speak to everyone. But yeah, I just hid it really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And then when I left home, I had no ambition. Well, I went to college. I was going to do media studies.
Right.
But I left there because I just found it really boring. It was all this shit that I can't do here. So I left there, and I got a job in JJB Sports.
Right.
And then I've just had loads of different jobs, you know, like
Yeah.
I ran a butty shop in Duke Bar, and I worked in a factory, and
Yeah.
I worked in a care home. But when I worked in the care home, that's when my love of care
I'm just going to say,
and
was that
nursing
a
came
trigger
in.
for you?
Yeah, that's when I went to college. That's when I got some qualifications, and then I went to
Okay.
uni, and then it went on from there. So,
Great.
yeah.
But that must have felt good. Like you were changing your life. You got yourself on a track then, didn't you? You knew where you were heading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted, and I think I only wanted a simple thing, you know. I just wanted my own house, my own car, and a good job. That's all I ever wanted.
Yeah.
And when I reached that, then I wanted something else. But that's the human condition, isn't
Of course
it?
it is.
We all
It's a
do that.
goal.
Yeah.
You get that first
You reach
goal.
that goal, and then you move on to other goals.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise life would be boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Once you've reached
exactly.
it, be like, well, that's it, I'm done now.
Yeah.
So what were you doing at uni then? Was it a nursing?
Yeah, nursing.
So it was nursing.
Yeah.
And then did you find it easy to find work from there?
Yeah, I got my first job. So when I graduated in I think it was March 2009, I literally started my job as a nurse on a medical ward the following month in the April.
Right.
So yeah,
That's really good.
straight away.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Fast tracked.
Yeah, fast tracked. But to be fair, I think a lot of us just got jobs instantly.
Really?
We all had this generic interview, if you will, and you'd sort of say which area of nursing you wanted to work in. Like some of my colleagues wanted to work in A&E, so they got A&E.
Yeah.
I went arse, I just wanted a job, so they shoved me on a medical ward. But do you know what? I actually enjoyed it for
Did
a
you?
while.
Yeah.
But I left because it wasn't... I enjoyed the nursing side of it, but it was the lack of staff, the lack of resources. It just became quite stressful. And then I moved into the private sector.
Right.
And I worked for the Harley Medical Group for a few years in
Okay.
Manchester.
Yeah.
And then I moved into telephone triage, which is what I'm still doing a bit of now.
Right.
So yeah, I'm still dabbling in, but I'm not patient facing anymore. I work from home on my own,
Yeah, yeah.
in my pyjamas.
You prefer that, do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
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 So you enjoyed nursing face to face though, and
Yeah, I did initially.
so when was that? That was because we're talking about the lack of resources back then. I noticed through my partner's health condition that it seemed to me that it was being destroyed inside out. You know, we were going quite, and you could see the staff was so stressed.
Yeah.
They were always lovely.
Yeah.
You know, always were doing the best. But it was almost like the system was designed to fail. That's what it felt like over the few years that we were going into the hospitals, and the feedback we were getting from nurses and that
Yeah.
it was like things are not good, really. So was there a big difference going into private sector then?
Yeah, it was just like you go from, because I used to work on a really busy medical ward, and I used to work a lot of night shifts, so I'd have like 15 patients to myself.
Right.
But because it were general medical, you get all sorts. You'd have dementia patients wandering around.
Right.
You'd have alcoholics in.
Yeah.
You'd have, you know, it was just a varied
Yeah.
very different types of patients, and it was really stressful because you had IV fluids to put up, you had drug rounds to do, you had observations to do. It was just too stressful, and we just didn't have the staff.
Okay.
You know, and if we had one patient that went off in the middle of the night who deteriorated, and you had all these other patients, it was just too much. It just did me head in the end. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So
it's not fair, is it, though? You know, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to do your best. At the end of the day, you're there to help people.
Yeah.
That's all you want to do is help people in the system. It's not like there's not enough money being ploughed into it, I'm sure. You know, whatever's going wrong is going wrong.
Yeah.
But general care is, you know, people are not getting the general care, and you're not getting the opportunity to be the carer you were craving to be, what your soul was craving to be. That's what you were trying to do, and you were being stopped by all the stress. it's just not fair, really. But there's a better way. Surely there's a better. I'm sure there's a better way. There will be a better way.
And then the private sector was just because it was a clinic. You know, it was a different world. It was all cosmetic surgery and, you know, Botox and fillers and all these other things that I've never come into contact with before. It was all that sort of side of nursing, the aesthetic side of it all.
Right. Okay.
And like we used to do pre-op assessments, and I really enjoyed it, you know. But then I had my son, and if you try and commute to Manchester in the morning, it's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
So I had to leave, you know, for that reason. Because my son were a baby, and it was taking me an hour to get home at night, and I was just like...
Well, priorities, isn't it? You need to change your lifestyle when a baby comes. It changes your life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've got to work around that, haven't you? So what did you do then? Did you get another job, or is that when you went into the phone?
Telephone triage. I worked at North West Ambulance Service for a while.
Right.
And then I've just sort of gone on from there, but now I do it from home, and I work for a few different services.
Okay.
And I just like being at home, you know, because I'm a bit of a loner and I like it like that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. What was your health like, your physical health then during that period? Were you...
Oh, well, I'd always had digestive issues way before I got diagnosed with Crohn's.
Right, okay.
And I've been to the doctors several times, and they kept saying to me, oh, it's just IBS, it's just IBS. Take these Buscopan, you know, you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, they always throw the Buscopan.
Yeah, Buscopan. But things escalated. So when I was 27 at the time, I started passing blood and stuff, and I was like, there's something not right here.
Okay.
But fortunately, I had an amazing GP at the time, and who sent me for tests. And I was diagnosed the same day that I had the colonoscopy because it was so obvious, because my bowel was in bits. Now, as a nurse, and obviously I've done endoscopy, I've seen Crohn's disease, obviously, throughout my career and stuff.
Yeah.
So when they do the colonoscopy, if you ever have a colonoscopy, you can see on the TV screen in front of you when they're going in with the scope, and you can see the bowel inside, and my bowel was just completely ulcerated.
Was it? Yeah.
It was just full of these. It was, and I had not only that, but I had stricturing, so I had a lot of narrowing in my intestines.
Right.
Through scar tissue. I must have had it a long time, you know, before I was diagnosed. And it was just these yellow pustules just all in my bowel. There were just loads of these ulcers.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, and I just knew then. And then the doctor said to me, you know, I'm really sorry to tell you, but you've got Crohn's disease. And I was like, okay. And at first, I do what everybody else would do in that situation. I just denied it. I was in denial, carried on smoking, drinking I was binge drinking at the time, you know, like most people do nowadays. They go out weekend, get absolutely blottoed. Mm-hmm. And that's what I just carried on doing that. I just carried on eating processed food, carried on smoking, carried on not looking after myself and expecting my disease to go away. But that's not how disease works.
Well, no, obviously, and I think we'll no doubt get into how you've resolved everything. But were they quick to just after the diagnosis, quick to prescribe you something?
Yeah, steroids.
Steroids.
Yeah, steroids, prednisolone takes down the inflammation. But the only problem with prednisolone and, you know, taking steroids for long term is it starts to affect you in other ways. It starts to affect your skin. It starts to make you put weight on, so you gain a lot of weight. So I put a lot of weight on, especially around my face. And it just destroys your confidence, you know, and it makes you feel like shit, to be honest. Yeah. So steroids, even though, and I'll always say this, I do feel you know, medicine has a place.
Definitely, yeah.
But I just think a lot of the medication they prescribe you has a lot of side effects, and it might resolve one issue, but then you get another. And this is the problem with the Western medicine, yeah.
Every drug, I think, has an effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's not one, I believe, that doesn't have an effect. And side effect, it's an effect, isn't it? That's what it is. It will do something. And I've noticed this again, going off my partner, is she's been on so many different types of medications that you have a medication for something, but then you've got to take a medication to deal with the effect that the other one has been
exactly. This is the issue,
it's like, wow. Yeah. And before you know it, you've got enough drugs to drop a rhino at the end of the night.
I've had a nightmare with drugs. You know, so they put me on the steroids. And to be fair to the consultant, you know, he actually asked me, do you smoke? And I said, yeah. And he said, if you don't stop smoking, your disease is going to get worse. And I was like, well, they always say that about smoking. You know, that's what I was like back then. Oh, they always say that. You were absolutely right. Yeah, because as soon as I quit smoking, I've not smoked now for over 10 years, but as soon as I quit, the disease improved, didn't go away.
Right.
It did get a bit better.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the thing. So they put me on the prednisolone. And then they tried me with these different immunosuppressants. So they put me on azathioprine, which they quite commonly use, which has got a whole long list of side effects. I didn't feel well on that. I had really bad side effects, just felt really ill all the time. I was getting upper gastric pain. I was just really poorly. So they changed it, they put me on mercaptopurine, and then I started to get these big lumps all over my legs. It's called erythema nodosum. And I just got these big lumps all over my legs that were really painful, really itchy. I had sacroiliitis, so the bottom of my back was inflamed, so I was in agony. I was just in agony with my legs, agony with my back. I felt just generally really ill. I was still having issues with my Crohn's. That had not gone away.
Yeah. And then you were getting a load more stuff to deal with.
And then I started getting this really severe pain in my upper abdomen, and it wouldn't go away. And I went to the hospital and I told the doctors, and they said, well, we're running out of options, so carry on taking it. This is basically what they said. So I carried on and carried on. Now, because I'm a nurse, fortunately, I thought, I wonder if it's my pancreas. Right. You know, because of the type of pain that I was getting. Yeah. And the clinic that I was working in at the time let me do my blood test, my amylase.
Okay.
And it came back, it's through the roof.
Right.
So that told me I had pancreatitis. So I rang the hospital and I said to them, my amylase results or whatever they were, oh, you need to come into the medical assessment unit at Chorley now, like today. We need to get you in today. So I went down, and obviously pancreatitis is a very rare side effect of a drug, but I got it.
My word.
So I was like, I can't do this shit anymore. Like, these medications are going to kill me if I carry on taking them. And then they put me on biologics, which is an injection that you give yourself every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I had this injection every 2 weeks. And after a while, my symptoms started to return, because it did work for me for a while, and then my symptoms started to come back. And then I had a blood test, and it found out that my body was now rejecting that medication. So nothing was working for me. I was just getting so stressed. And I had surgery, so I had a large part of my bowel removed.
Oh my God.
Because I had a lot of narrowing.
Yeah,
so if I hadn't have had it out, they said I could have got a bowel obstruction, which is life-threatening. I could have died. So they had to remove quite a lot of my small bowel.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they've left me now with bile acid malabsorption, where I can't eat a lot of fats. You know, I really struggle to absorb fats. I still have fats in my diet because it's important.
Yeah.
But I can't have a lot of fat in my diet.
Right, okay.
Because of the surgery. But yeah, it just nothing was working. And I was just banging my head against the wall constantly.
So were you, I presume you were having these discussions with a doctor or a specialist or whatever that this medication's causing you loads of problems. Were you getting any support on that?
The nurses were amazing.
Yeah.
More than the doctors.
Right.
But a lot of the doctors that I dealt with were junior doctors. They're quite new and they're still learning and all that. Mm-hmm. I've had a few different consultants over the years. They seem to come and go quite quickly for some reason.
Right.
You know, some of them have been brilliant and some of them not so brilliant, but that's NHS, isn't it? You get some great doctors and you get some not so great doctors.
Yeah. And the thing is, you want to have, if you're a patient coming into any kind of situation like that, you're going to have faith with, or you want to have faith with any doctor or any nurse, don't you?
Yeah. We as a species put our faith in doctors.
Yeah, well,
we do though, because we're conditioned to do that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah. It's and more so shown over the past few years again. Really, you know, a lot of people have gone not anymore, but a lot of people obviously have queued up because of their faith and trust in the people in the white coat.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it is a thing. That is the white coat thing is a
white coat syndrome
thing.
It really is. It is a thing.
So what did you do at that point? Were you thinking, well, I'm not getting any help here, or were you frustrated at that point, or were you thinking, well, I'm going to just sort myself out?
Well, what it were in 2020 when COVID started, I started having a flare up. Like a really bad flare up. So this was the last bad flare up I had before I went on my healing journey.
Right.
And I was bleeding, but at the time, you know, my son was quite little, so they closed the schools and everything. And I was like, well, I can't go to A&E.
No.
So I couldn't get hold of my GP.
Right.
I couldn't get hold of anyone at hospital. I thought, what the hell am I going to do? Like, nobody was returning me calls from the IBD team.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And I had a bit of a meltdown and, you know, had a bit of a cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, bollocks to this. I'm going to sort this out myself. I can't do this anymore.
Yes.
So that's when I started to research. And my partner, Paul's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
He's just the biggest support ever. He's just been absolutely amazing.
Oh, I can imagine. He's
and
a great
honest
guy.
to God, if I'd not have met him, I don't know where I'd be now. Because I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for him.
Yeah, well,
you know,
you're
of all
a
his
great
support.
couple, and I know that. And
Yeah, he's a good
I can
one.
imagine Paul's a rock when you...
He is, he's great.
Yeah.
You know, so I just said I'm going to sort this out myself. And I thought I'm going to go on a bit of a juice detox. I'm going to do some juicing.
Yeah.
So bless him, he went to Costco, he bought me a juicer and some organic fruit and veg. And I started juicing. I just thought, I'm not going to eat any solid food for a few days because it's pointless. Because anybody who eats inflammatory bowel disease will understand that sometimes whatever you eat just comes straight back out, especially when the disease is active. So you're not absorbing any nutrients. So I just thought, I'm not going to eat any solid food. So I think I juiced for about 4 days and my symptoms actually calmed down without any steroids, without any medication.
Just juicing?
Just juicing, but I had juicing like fruit and vegetables.
Can I ask you, because you mentioned organic now...
Yeah.
Were you obviously, is that through research that you were aware that you should go for organic fruit and veg, or were you, I don't know, were you not just like the norm where people just tell them to go to the supermarket and pick up fruit and veg? Because they see
I'd get some organic stuff and some not so. The only reason I knew about the organic thing is because my friend Sophie had cancer.
Right.
And her partner at the time, Sheldon, he used to go to Manic Organic and buy her the fruit and veg from there to juice to help her get rid of her cancer. Thankfully, she's fine.
Right.
But yeah, he was the one who was telling me about the organic and how important it was. So that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So was there something in particular then, fruit or veg? Was it any fruit or veg at that point that you were just...
Yeah, I just wanted to get some nutrients in my system and I didn't want to eat any food. And I actually went vegan then as well.
Did you?
I just cut out all meat, all animal products out of my diet.
Right.
And sort of it just went on from there really. So I juiced for 4 days and then I went on a vegan diet which worked well for me for a while. But then I started to relapse.
Did you, yeah?
Yeah. You see, I didn't feel well on a vegan diet eventually. I think if you're vegan and you feel good on it, you carry on. But the unfortunate thing is with vegan diet is that you become deficient in a lot of nutrients, especially amino acids.
Okay.
You know, which are essential for your health.
Yeah.
And it was only, and I kept craving red meat, and I'm thinking, why am I craving red meat?
You see, I
I'm
think
vegan.
that you get a lot of you see a lot of this discussion going on, and I always think that every person is unique. Exactly, yeah. And that's the way I feel. That we all need to find what works for us, really, as an individual. Because I think I crave a balance. I think I've never been vegan. And I've never been vegetarian either. Yeah. But I am consciously eating more vegetables than I used to do. Yeah. But then I hear stories about, you want to just eat more meat, and then you hear more, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? I think I just want a balance, but that's just me. Yeah. So obviously you were getting the cravings because your body needed it. And my body was talking. Your body is so clever. This is what I've learned over the last 3 years. Yeah. Your body's amazing, and it wants to be healthy. Yeah. It doesn't want to be sick. You weren't born deficient in medication and you weren't born with too many organs. That's right, and this is the thing. So your body wants to be healthy. Listening to your body, isn't it? Body. Yeah. And I wish I'd listened sooner because I started to get like skin issues again and my acne started to flare up again and I was getting all these digestive issues and I just felt really shit. I felt tired all the time and I couldn't figure out why. But your body's talking to you all the time and listen to it. Okay. So that's one thing I have learned over the last 3 years, which obviously I'll come on to a bit more. But listening to your body is key if you've got a disease that you want to heal. I think that it's a really important point, really, because I noticed again, and going on my own self-healing story, is that... listening to your body, listening to your emotions as well. Yeah. And trying to understand what those feelings are meaning. Because you're being told something and sometimes it's difficult to sit back and just listen to you. Yeah. It is, because you're not used to it, because especially when we're so busy, because we are put in a situation where life is generally, we're very busy, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, so sitting back and that's why they want you to go and see your doctor and be prescribed sort of medications, because you put a plaster on that and you just keep going. And, all right, I'll have that and keep going. But it doesn't do you any good.
No.
It's in the end, it's going to have a massive detrimental effect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you were feeling better from doing that. You were seeing some instant result.
Yeah, fairly instantly. Yeah, I just. But now what I've learned is, if you get a flare up, like say if I have a flare up, which is very, very, very rare now.
Yeah.
But like that's comes sometimes. So I wouldn't say I'm cured.
No.
But I would say I'm healed because I live symptom free. I don't have any symptoms. I don't have any digestive problems. My skin's better. I sleep better. My mental health is better, because that's another thing that goes with gut issues, mental health issues.
Yeah.
So I just feel so much better now. You know.
That's amazing. So I bet is it your son?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he saw some difference there, did he? I mean, he was only young, wasn't he?
Do you know what? It's so shit when you've got a disease. Because when he was little, I spent a lot of time in hospital, because I was in and out of hospital. And then when I had my bowel resection surgery, I didn't see him for like a week.
Yeah. I can relate to all that. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Not me personally, but again with my partner, the experience, I've seen all that, you know.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult. How old is he now?
He's 9 now.
He's 9 now, so he'll be seen like a new mum then.
Yeah. And this is why I've done it. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll die for my kids." I want to live for my child. You know, I want to be there. I want to be healthy. I want to be around for him. I want to do stuff with him. You know, and it's only since my health has been on top form that I've actually been a lot more proactive as a mum.
Yeah.
You know, and Paul's been absolutely amazing. Paul's got him into rugby, you know.
That's good.
And he's given Finley a new lease of life.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm healthy now, I can do stuff with my son at weekends, whereas before I never really had the energy or the patience. I was really snappy.
Well, you will be, because your body's exhausted, and you will be snappy.
Yeah. So I'm happier, so therefore he's happier. Yeah.
Isn't it funny though that you're forced into a situation to act there? So in a way, huge gratitude towards the fact that all that madness was going on in 2020, because it's literally put you in a corner where you're going, right, well, I'm going to sort this out myself then. I'm
so grateful it happened. I'm so grateful COVID happened.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got to look at it from that perspective. If you looked at it from the other perspective, you can just easily be quite angry and a bit stressed about stuff.
Sure.
But I'm so grateful it happened, because if it hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be on the journey that I'm on now, you know.
Well, you wouldn't have been, because you very likely would have still been trusting that situation and taking different medications and probably going downhill, I would imagine, rather than going up like you've done. You've managed to change your life, so amazingly. So did you start having a protocol around that time, a sort of a vegetable fruit protocol that you preferred, or were you just...
No, do you know what? To be honest, I just winged it for a bit.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Because this is the thing, when you embark on a healing journey, and it's a little bit of the unknown, isn't it? Because it's not things that are that well spoken about. It's always take this medication. You know, a lot of doctors will tell you that your lifestyle, your diet's got naught to do with it. It bloody has. It's got everything to do with it.
It's funny. It's what you consume, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, we are consuming so much all the time. If it's not even mentally, we're always consuming something.
Yeah.
And if you're consuming toxins, and toxic situation as well, it's going to make you ill.
Yeah,
it's going to make you ill.
Definitely.
So you've got to cleanse somehow. That means cleansing your environment, cleansing what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, exactly.
The situations you're finding yourselves in.
Yeah.
Because it's quite interesting what you've done, really. You had a toxic situation as a young teen, and you've got away. So you cleanse that situation then.
Yeah.
So you've actually been self-healing.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Which is inspiring.
Yeah, thanks.
It is. That's massively inspiring, because people struggle with that, to recognise the environment they're in is causing them problems.
Yeah.
So do you think your Crohn's has come from
I think it has. I think it's part of it. Yeah, I do because, you know, I've read a book recently called Gut Feelings by Dr. Will Cole, and he talks about the gut-brain connection in detail. You know, because when you're in your mum's womb, your gut and your brain are made from the same fetal tissue.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they're forever connected via the gut-brain axis.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're forever connected.
Oh, right.
So, you know, it's like.
Yeah. So, because I mean, I'm still not the best in terms of diet. I must admit, I started looking at it more last year.
Yeah.
But I'm still, and to be honest, since getting busy again with the Great Michigan Project, I found myself reverting back a little bit to old habits of eating rubbish food. Not totally rubbish food. I still eat better than what I used to do, but I find that because I'm busy, it's almost like I'd grab something while you.
And this is the issue, though.
That's the issue, yeah.
We're all busy, aren't we? And I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I'll eat stuff I shouldn't eat. But I live by the 90-10 rule now. You know, 90% clean, 10% a bit of what I want.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad way of putting it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost like that bit of badness is your little treat, then, I suppose. Yeah. And I've had this discussion in the past where what we do is we try and satisfy what's going in here rather than what's going in here. So we'll eat stuff or we'll drink something that tastes great here, but it's actually doing nothing for you here. Yeah,
that's usually an off microbiome, though.
Right.
Because like you've got microbiome, you've got like, we are more bacteria than we are human. So our microbiome, we have like over 100 trillion bacteria in our bodies.
Yeah.
And we all have their own different functions. So if your gut microbiome is off, you'll start craving sugary foods, and you'll start, because I think it's in 50% of your dopamine and 90% of your serotonin is made in the gut. That's why it's called your second brain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, you know, we crave foods that make us feel happy.
Yes.
You know, but that has a negative impact.
Yeah.
So if you eat, because I used to eat a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I used to crave sugar every day.
Yeah.
You know, I still occasionally get the cravings for sugar, and I still eat sugar to a degree. I mean, I cut it out completely after Christmas for 6 weeks, and I felt amazing. But it's in everything, so you can't really escape it completely.
No.
But what I started doing then is monitoring the amount of added sugar I was having, because sugar is really inflammatory, and it feeds inflammatory bacteria in the gut microbiome.
Right.
So obviously with Crohn's disease, it's an inflammatory disease.
Yeah.
So you want to limit that inflammation as much as possible. So cutting out sugar is essential to that, to limiting the inflammation. So I mean, it's only the last year or so I've learned all this. You know, as I said to you before, I was just winging it for a while. You know, I was doing these juices. I didn't really know what I was doing. No. But I knew I didn't want to take medication anymore because it weren't working for me.
But you were listening to your body, though.
Yeah. And then it started to relapse, and I was like, shit, why is it relapsing? What the hell am I doing now?
Okay.
And that's when I started to dive a bit deeper and do a bit more deeper research. And then I actually did a course. It was the dietary healing course with Catherine Alexander.
Yeah.
Where we learn about traditional Chinese medicine and homeopathic principles and the energy of food. So like each food source has an energy attached to it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, chicken is a warming food.
Right.
And I'm a hot, damp constitution. That's why I've got this heat and this inflammation in my body.
Okay.
So if you have a warming food with a hot, damp constitution, that is a recipe for disaster.
Right.
So
interesting.
It's balancing out the yin and the yang, you know, putting the body back into harmony. So I started to eat foods that were cooling. Things like beef is cooling.
Is it?
So avocados are cooling. You know, like these green leafy vegetables are cooling. Certain fruits are cooling. So I started to implement all these cooling foods into my diet.
Interesting.
And that's when my symptoms went down again.
Wow.
So that I still live by those principles to this day.
Yeah.
You know, I still, you know, I know my limits now with food. And another thing I did as well is I got what they called, an intolerance test.
Yeah.
So there's a company, if you go on Google and you type in UK food intolerance, I'd recommend everybody gets this done, because what came back really shocked me. Like my food intolerances, which actually lead to symptoms.
Right.
So I'm intolerant to eggs. I can't eat eggs. And eggs are a superfood to a lot of people, and they are a superfood,
Yeah.
but they're not for everyone. You know, I can't have lemons. I can't have blueberries or bananas because I'm sensitive to them.
Wow.
So, you know, all these foods. But so then if you cut out your food sensitivities and then start incorporating like the Chinese medicine, the energy of food into your diet, like I'm flying now. Like I don't have any symptoms. And if I ever got a flare up, which like when I went to Krakow in March, I binge drank. I got absolutely shit-faced. Me and Paul went out and got pissed because we went to Auschwitz and it was a really disturbing thing to go to.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's just go out and get pissed. So we went out and got pissed and then I really suffered.
Right.
But now I'm in a position that if I did have a flare, I know exactly what to do to get it back under control without taking any medication. And that, to me, is worth more than anything because it's just complete empowerment.
Yeah,
I don't have to rely on a doctor to fix me anymore. I can now fix myself.
It's having that responsibility,
Yeah,
isn't it, for
absolutely.
yourself? Mm.
And this is the issue, unfortunately, in this country. You know, we've been led to believe as a society that we cannot have any control over our own health. That as soon as we start to get a symptom or an ailment, we have to go to a doctor to fix us. But really, it's all within us.
If you're enjoying everything that we're doing here at Drake, Michigan, please subscribe, ring my bell, and let's enjoy this journey together. Yeah.
Because you go see a doctor, they won't ask you what your lifestyle, they won't ask you
They're not
what your diet's
interested in
like.
that,
No.
though.
They're not bothered about how much you smoke or drink most of the time.
No.
They're not bothered about how much exercise you're doing, how much you're managing your stress levels, if you're sleeping well. They don't ask you anything like that. They'll just prescribe you a drug and then off you go.
Yeah, they do.
And this is the problem.
I totally agree with you. That is a problem. But there's no profit in just saying, right, you need to change your lifestyle.
We know exactly. Let's not get on to that.
I'm going to make any money there, are we?
Exactly. So, and again, you know, once you see it, there's no unseeing it, you know.
No, there isn't. Once you real eyes.
Yeah. Once you wake up to it, and you're like, right, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy that you won't be on your own here though either. You know that people are forced into situation. And I think people are being forced into that situation even now because people can't get a GP appointment for love nor money.
No, it's exactly.
They can't get to see anybody for any kind of support.
Yeah.
And hopefully people are doing what you're doing. I hope by going right. There's information available, readily available. If I just dig deep and look into it, and maybe I can sort this myself. Unfortunately, we do live in a society where people are so indoctrinated, but also so fearful that they need that support. It's almost they have to have that to lean on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they feel completely lost, and that's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
And I hope that somebody watching this will feel empowered enough to go, you know what, I can do this myself then as well.
Well, if I can do it, bloody hell, you know.
Well, it's inspiring.
Anybody can.
It's really inspiring. And so during that period of time, though, obviously you weren't seeing any doctor. You were juicing, but you were digging deeper now, and you were getting rid of the symptoms.
Yeah.
Were you telling anybody about it?
I was like telling, like my nana, and they think I'm mental, you know.
Do
the
they?
family they think I'm nuts. They do. They think I'm crazy, like, you know, because they are in that world where they believe everything doctors say, and they believe, you know, the healthcare system, and there's no other way, and that's why they think I'm nuts. But obviously, I'm living proof. I walk around, I don't have any symptoms, so therefore my disease is now in remission.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So
and it's in control, isn't it? You're
controlling it, yeah. And this is, I think I'm a bit of a control freak, you see.
Okay.
So I like to have control over especially over myself.
Well, why not?
You know.
But it is you. That's mastery, though. That's a good thing. I think. Like, a lot of people are out of control. I was out of control.
I used to be out of control like years ago. You know, I think obviously the childhood aspect had a part to play, but I didn't look after myself either.
I don't think most people do look after themselves, though, Georgie.
And I did not mean to. It's just, I think people don't not mean to look after themselves. They just don't know how to look after themselves.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we're taught how to look after
We're
ourselves.
not, for a reason, though.
Of course, it's all by design.
It's all by, because pharmaceutical companies, they won't make any money, would they, if everybody started looking after themselves? And this is the thing.
No, not at all. When we're putting our indoctrination camps from the age of 3-4 years of age and conditioned, I think I remember as a kid being in school, and one of the things we're saying, the ones you look up to, are your teachers. And your vicars and your doctors, all these, and you always put them on that pedestal, really, of trusted. If I need somebody, that's where you kind of go. But we're in a totally different world now of information as well. Yeah. So then you were limited. You could go to a library, but how many people would have just your normal general person would have gone to the library to study about dietary and gut health and things like that.
And now all this is the internet, isn't there, with all this information?
It's all there for us.
The books and everything else.
We have literally got no excuse, apart from the fact that we know that it's difficult to search sometimes because you get fact-checked and all that kind of stuff comes through. And therefore, a general person might say, well, the fact checkers say that it's wrong, so it can't be. But
we all know it now, don't we, though? If the fact checkers come out and say something's false, we all know it's true. Do you know what I mean? So it's common sense now, isn't it?
It is now.
They're actually shooting themselves in the foot, aren't they?
Yeah,
really?
I know. Yeah, it's become comical. Really. I know. Well, I think this is an amazing story. How you've turned this around, and then. Were you able to see? Did you see anybody at all during that period to go right? Well, I'm doing really well now. I'm now doing. I've changed my diet. I'm living like this. Were you able to go to anyone in that period and go, look, I don't need you anymore?
Well, I used to get phone calls. My consultant. She's lovely. Yeah. Really lovely woman. Yeah. But she was really worried about me. She's like, if you don't go back on medication. And I understand where she's coming from because she cares. She's a nice woman. Of course,
people do care.
Yeah, and she said, if you don't go back on medication, she said, what's going to happen is you've got this inflammation in your bowel, and if you don't control that inflammation, it's like having a room on fire in your house. Eventually, the whole house will burn down. She said, and I don't want that to happen. I said, no, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not your responsibility to fix me. It's my responsibility.
It is. I like that.
And it's my responsibility. My health is my responsibility, nobody else's.
Yes.
And if everybody else would actually, when they start getting a symptom, actually look and go, right, okay, well, what have I been eating? How have I been sleeping? How am I dealing with my stress? People start to look within, they'd find the answers. Definitely. But they don't, because they don't know how. And this is why I've created my Instagram page to help people.
I know.
And I just give little snippets of stuff.
Your videos are brilliant.
Make people think.
They are brilliant, your videos. And
thanks, I bloody hated it as well when I started doing it. As I said to you before, I was like, my first video I did, I was like dead stiff. I was like leaning over a cushion like, well, let's talk about the gut microbiome. Like proper boring.
It's hard to do though.
It is.
It's really tough.
It is hard.
You've got to break that little thing yourself, your own ego gets in the way, and it's fear all the time, isn't it? But
become really self-critical, and
of course we're our own worst enemies.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why again we always look outside, but you look in, and you're capable of being whoever you want to be. So I in a way I totally understand when I fell ill. It was like I spoke to the doctor last year. This is so just like 18 months ago when the pub shut and I fell quite poorly. I spoke to the doctor on the phone and he was like, right, well, I need to prescribe you antidepressants and this, that, and I went, I'm not doing that. And it was like, well, why not? So, well, I'll fix it myself.
Yeah. Because
like you said about the responsibility, I was realising this is mine to solve. This is my situation to deal with. Nobody's going to be able to fix this for me. No. Nobody's going to heal me. I can only heal myself.
Yeah.
And I think that, and when I started doing Reiki as well and sort of helping people were looking for me to heal them. And I said, look, I'm not going to heal you.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat you. And you're going to feel better afterwards. But you've got to heal yourself.
Yeah.
It's only you're going to have to dig deep a little bit and find out where it is.
We've all got the power to heal ourselves.
100%, yeah.
It's been done time and time again.
Yeah, yeah.
But as you know, Dr. Will Cole talks about this, and he says about this medical gaslighting,
Right.
where natural roots are always dismissed as quackery, and you know, homeopathic doctors are always put down, or that's nonsense, that's quackery. But it's really not.
No.
And now more than ever do we need to take a stance on our own health, because the NHS is not what it used to be. You know, there's a massive backlog of patients waiting for surgery and cancer treatment, and trying to get in with a GP is near damn impossible, as I know, because I'm working in that environment. You know, trying to get patients a dentist appointment.
Yeah.
Unless you're minted, you're not going to be able to afford dental treatment now. It's an absolute joke. So we have to take responsibility. Now is the time, because nobody's coming to save us. And I found out the hard way in 2020 that nobody was coming to save me, and I needed to save myself. Yeah, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really good message, that, really. I think in not just in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. Yeah. I think it's the same message. Yeah. Nobody's coming to save us.
No, they're not.
We have to do this shit ourselves.
Exactly.
You know, that's part of it. The kingdom is within. Everything is within. Yeah. And it's a tough journey, but you've got to face it.
It's been tough. It's been hard. Paul's been my guinea pig, and you know what? He's coming on leaps and bounds. Yeah. So when I met Paul, like a few years prior, he was really overweight. You know, he was really big. And he went to the gym and he started losing weight and all that. But he still had loads of digestive issues and loads of problems with his skin. He had really bad eczema. And honestly, he's been great, because he's just allowed me to use him as a guinea pig. Yeah. It's been great.
Bless him.
I know.
Try this. And then I'm going to try it.
Is that all right? I'll try it. But honestly, he's come on so much as well. Like, his health has transformed. Yeah. It's completely different now. His eczema's gone. Yeah. I've actually healed my son's eczema as well.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah. Just through simple changes.
Right.
So old Paul's eczema's gone. Yeah. He's losing weight, like it's coming off nice and slowly, which is the best way to lose weight, nice and slow. His confidence in himself is better. His mental health is miles better. His digestive issues are miles better. You know, he's just miles better in himself now.
But again, it's all the gut that you're talking about, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Skin issues come from the gut.
Skin issues come from the gut.
All disease starts in the gut.
Right.
But all healing starts in the gut as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show. What about drinking? What do you like to drink?
Yeah, I still drink. I like my red wine. Yeah. I used to be a proper binge drinker.
Yeah, I think most of us have been there, haven't we?
Of course, and I've had some of the best times of my life on alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just had to learn to curb it and cut back a lot. And I'll have a maximum a week now, 2 glasses of organic red wine.
So you go in organic?
Organic with the wine, yeah, absolutely. Good quality.
Can I go back to it again? So during this period of time, you went and got organic fruit and veg. Mm. So were you consciously then always? I know you said you mixed it a little bit, but were you consciously looking for organic? Was that something that?
No, because I didn't really understand about it back then. It was only since I've done more and more research I've actually realised how toxic. So you go in a supermarket and you've got all your normal fruit and veg. Mm-hmm. My rule of thumb is this: if you have a vegetable where an insect can easily penetrate it, things like berries, apples, pears, spinach, kale, whatever, go organic, because they're more likely to be heavily sprayed and more toxic foods. Things like watermelon, papaya, anything with a thick skin where the inside is not touched, I won't always go organic with those. If I can, I will, but I don't always. Yeah. There's actually, you can look on the internet and find out the dirty dozen. Right. So there's a list of foods, the dirty dozen, that you should eat organic, for the simple reason that they are heavily sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, rodenticides, all these chemicals that then you're then consuming, and washing them doesn't kill them. It doesn't kill the chemicals. So and the problem is as well with our tap water, it's full of chemicals. Yes. So you're washing chemicals off with chemicals. It makes no sense. So just go organic. No,
it's just outrageous. Again, it's catch-22 again, isn't it? Your cycle of toxin garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
You walk in, and it's like, again, you grow up and you walk into Asda as a kid and you've got all the fresh. I remember there's an Eddie Izzard sketch from years ago. And this is a fresh shop. Like you walk in, it's got all the lettuces and the tomatoes and all the fruit and stuff like that. And you're thinking, well, this is all good, healthy stuff.
That's the trick,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a trick.
It is the trick. Yeah.
And I remember when I woke up, or was awakening, I should say, 10 years ago, and I come across the GMO thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never heard of it before. And I think I'm sure it was the Clintons that were involved in it. And,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. But anyway, I'd never heard of it before. And then obviously you're getting now sort of fruit like tomatoes the size of God knows whatever. And then you're getting seedless grapes and this, that, and it's, that wasn't around when I was a kid.
No, because they've all been modified. The glucose goddess, she's another one, she's a good one. She talks about how fruit has been sort of transformed by man to make it more sweeter over time.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Things like genetically modified foods, that's a huge, I avoid anything GMO. Corn, I know. Corn.
Isn't it weird because...
It's not a natural food.
No.
Because a genetically modified food is where they change the structural DNA of that food, so it's not a naturally occurring food.
Yeah.
So you're eating unnatural stuff.
You never... It never stays in your system, corn, anyway.
No. It's so toxic as well. You're just like, what's the point in eating it?
Oh, man. And then... I think I was reading last year, I don't know if I'm right, but wheat is another one I heard. That
do you know what? I have this thing. So the inflammatory core 4 foods, which Dr. Will Cole talks about, are gluten and wheat. So anything gluten. And it's not necessarily the gluten that's the problem, it's what we've done to it over the years. That's the issue. It's not prepared properly, it's not risen slowly. It's, if you're going to have bread, I occasionally have sourdough, because it's fermented.
Oh, so it's
totally
better
different for the gut. It's still gluten. You don't have loads of it, but every now and again, a bit of sourdough bread's not going to really affect your gut that much.
Okay.
But gluten is a big no-no. Like if you want to be healthy, and it absolutely destroys the gut, and it actually damages the lining of the intestinal wall. It makes it thinner, so it makes it more permeable. So then toxins can get out of your digestive tract into the rest of your body, and that's when you get eczema. You start getting symptoms, and
wow, that's so
it's
interesting.
gut permeability.
I didn't know that. And also, isn't it funny that anything that's good or better for you is more expensive?
Well, expensive. Why do you think that is? You walk down a supermarket aisle, I swear to God, pick up a jar of sauce. Everything's got rapeseed oil in it. Toxic seed oils.
Yeah.
Okay. Rapeseed oil. Yeah. Sunflower oil. Vegetable.
The seed oils.
Shite.
Really bad for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what I was trying to get oil out of a seed. It's like, what?
What the hell are they doing to these vegetables and stuff to get oil out? What? It's just so toxic. The problem is as well is that they've got a really low smoke point, so you can't. If they're heated, they give off free radicals, very, very toxic to the body.
Right.
So everything's got rapeseed oil in it. Everything's got sugar in it. Now, my suspicious mind actually thinks, well, there's a reason for this, why these toxic ingredients are in everything, because the food and the drug administration, they're in bed together.
Of course
the food companies and the drug companies are in bed together because it's problem, reaction, solution all the time.
Absolutely.
They create the problem, you react, they find the solution. It's just problem, reaction, solution. So everything's done, in my eyes, on purpose. And a lot of the ingredients in foods today are carcinogenic. Now, cancer is the most profitable disease on the market.
Well, they've still not found a cure.
They never will.
Of course they won't. So there's no money in curing at all.
Exactly. This is the thing. And as soon as people wake up to that fact, they go, the penny drops. And then they're like, shit. You actually start... When I woke up to that fact, I started looking at everything.
Yeah.
And now I won't buy anything in a packet or a jar.
Yeah, and everything's like a lot of stuff's in plastic as well. And
plastics.
Yeah, and it's not. And I recently had a conversation on a podcast, and I talked about McDonald's a little bit.
God.
So you're younger than I am, but I remember in the 80s, because obviously we've been fed sort of the American dream as a child growing up with Hollywood and this, that, and the other. Yeah. And then. I think when I was a kid, we had Wimpy's. I don't know if you remember Wimpy, but that was like a burger bar. But it was based on the American style kind of thing. But then McDonald's came in the 80s, and we had one I lived in Wigan when I was a kid, well, most of my life, and we had one that came on the high street, and it was like it was a big treat to go to McDonald's because it was new. It was, you know, people generally ate better food then, generally.
Yeah.
But like your treat was to go and eat a load of processed shit at McDonald's. That was your treat.
Yeah.
But what happened was, over a period of time, as we know, you've now got 5 or 6 of these sort of McDonald's and KFCs and Burger Kings. Everything's just fast food.
Yeah.
And we are living such a rapid lifestyle and stressful lifestyle that you drive home from work, your stomach's craving for food, you're hungry. Probably a shitload of parasites that's screaming as well, going, give me sugar and give me sweet stuff and give me whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
And therefore it's quicker just to go, you know what, I'll just drive through.
Yeah.
Grab a couple.
I've been guilty of that myself.
But I still am, you know, even though I recognise it, you know, I'm not not happy about it, but I still, when I'm busy, I still do it. But I do know that I'm doing it, and I shouldn't be doing it. You know, I'm consciously aware of the fact that I shouldn't be eating this. Yeah. And I need to, I don't eat a lot of it, to be fair, you know, I really don't. I have improved a lot. But it just goes to show the world that we're in, really. That's what I'm trying to put a picture to, is that we're...
It's convenient.
Convenience is... Everything's about convenience. And then that convenience then goes to, I'm not well. Yeah. Give me something to deal with this conveniently, rather than looking at yourself again and changing your lifestyle.
Exactly. I won't touch McDonald's, by the way. Now, I won't let my son out eat it either. No. I mean, I still let him have treats because he's a kid. But, you know, I will not let him have McDonald's. Well, it's garbage, isn't it? And I think they use rapeseed oil for the fries, and I don't think it's even... potatoes are genetically modified. I believe so. It's nothing's... They're not natural because they have a specialist potatoes where there's no eyes on them, you know, little black eyes, where they're all perfect. Oh, so they're all perfect. Yeah. And have you seen that video where that woman's had that McDonald's for 25 years and it's still not disintegrated or gone mouldy? It's funny that we bought recently what they call those sweet burger buns, what they call, I forget what they call. What, the brioche? Brioche type, yeah. So ages ago we bought this brioche and it was on a cheap offer kind of thing with a yellow label and stuff like that. And I think we've had them for 3 months, right? And we've left them in the packet and nothing has happened to them. They're literally, and we opened it up and nothing is still exactly the same. Yeah. You want like stuff that's enzymatically rich, you know, like with live enzymes that are going to go off. Yes. Because that's going to be beneficial for your health. Yes. Not shit that's got, you know, it's a telltale sign when you get something in a supermarket and it's got a shelf life on it that's like a year. And you're like, well, some stuff, you know, like legumes, for example, they don't go fridge, but like, you know, processed food that don't go off like a year, or bread that don't go off like 3 weeks, and you think, oh, hang on a minute. I know, it's weird, isn't it? What's up, what they call preservatives in there? Preservatives, yeah. Toxic ingredients. I remember, I'm going back, I remember as a kid, I had a cousin of mine, and he was going on about E-numbers at the time, and he was only young, and he was going on about E-numbers, and I was thinking, so what's he on about E-numbers? I haven't got a clue. But it's been there, but they've normalised it so much over the past, 30, 40 years. Yeah. That it's just normal to go and pick up your box of Kellogg's cornflakes. And they created the bloody thing about breakfast. It was them who created it. Thing, this breakfast thing. Yeah, exactly. Saying breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That's right, which is complete bollocks. I mean, I intermittent fast. I do 3 weeks now. Out of the month. Yeah, I tend to do it most times now. Yeah. I'll try and not eat after 7 o'clock if I can. Yeah. Depending on what time I get home. But I tend to not eat anything if I can help it until noon at least the following day. Yeah. I don't have a breakfast. My mum and dad looked at me last week like I'm an alien. They're like, you've lost so much weight. You know, he said, you need to start fattening up. You know, why don't you eat the 4 hamburgers you used to get at McDonald's? You know, kind of stuff. I'm thinking, well, I don't like any of that stuff anymore. You know, and I don't have breakfast anymore. What do you mean you don't have breakfast anymore? Yeah. See, I don't have breakfast most weeks. And I'm hungry now. Yeah. You know, and I'm feeling that, but I control that better. Yeah. In a way. I mean, men are fine. You can intermittent fast whenever you want because you've only got one hormone to concentrate on, which is your testosterone, which you get regularly. Whereas women, you know, we have the progesterone, a bit of testosterone, estrogen, and it comes on at different times of the month. So we have to time intermittent fasting to our cycle, because otherwise you can lose your periods. You know, it can really affect your hormones.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
So I never fast a week before my period because for that reason.
Right.
Because when you fast,
yes,
intermittent fast, obviously your cortisol goes up a bit.
Yeah.
Now, the week before your period, your body's working really, really hard to make progesterone.
Okay.
So if your cortisol goes up, your progesterone goes down, and that's not what you want. So as a woman, you should never fast a week before your period.
Interesting. Well, I hope you're listening. It's interesting. Yeah, and intermittent fasting. See, fasting I'd never really understood until, again, I was researching myself last year. I started doing the intermittent fasting, but then I do struggle a little bit with full fasting, I'll be honest with you, and I have done a little bit of it, but I go quite dizzy when I've not ate for a period of time, and my nose goes cold and this, that and the other, but it's just kind of, I know that it's just something I've got to master, really, because it's very good for you. It resets all your cells, doesn't it?
It does, autophagy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start cellular cleanup.
Yeah.
And I do 24-hour fasts twice a month.
Right, okay.
Because that's it. I do a gut reset fast. It just helps me keep my Crohn's under control.
Uh-huh.
And then what I'll do is I won't eat for 24 hours and then I'll break that fast with bone broth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I've not heard that before.
Yeah, so if you break a fast with bone broth.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, obviously, you start, after 24 hours, you start to produce new stem cells.
Yeah.
Which is your body's way of fixing itself, if you will.
Yeah.
So you produce new stem cells.
Right.
And then if you break a fast with bone broth, because of all the amino acids, it actually replenishes the gut and actually heals leaky gut syndrome. And,
does it?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never heard that one before.
Bone broth. Some people just do bone broth fasts. You've got to be careful with certain things, because sometimes it depends if you've got mould internally. If you have a lot of fermented foods like bone broth, it can actually trigger symptoms. You've got to just listen to your body.
Okay.
You know, and see how you feel from fasting and then breaking a fast with bone broth. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get put off because they'll have a bit of loose bowels or whatever, but that's fairly normal because that's actually your body's just detoxing and getting rid of the bad bacteria in your gut.
Okay.
I've experienced this myself. So when you can fast for a prolonged period of time, and then when you start breaking that fast, you can end up with a little bit of diarrhea, a bit of constipation. That's just your body's way of clearing out the bad bacteria in your gut.
Right.
Because we all carry it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about your Instagram. So what was inspiring you then? Was that you wanted to tell your story, or were you planning on you're at service, because you've obviously been in care for a while, so you want to help people.
Yeah. Well, I just got to a point where I've got all this knowledge, and I've healed my Crohn's, and I know how to control it now myself. And I thought I'm going to share this publicly, in the hopes of helping other people. Now, I know that everything I do is not going to work for everyone because every body is different. Unique. But if I could help someone, and if I can share little bits of natural health tips for someone to actually think more about their health themselves and actually heal or whatever, then I'd be happy with that. That's why I decided to create the page. But I'm really, you know, as you probably gathered, I'm not on Facebook. I can't be doing with Facebook. Can't be doing with Twitter. I just find it really negative. I'm not really massively into social media. No. I used to be years ago, but I'm not anymore because I can see it for what it is. Yeah, it's toxic. But I thought if I use my Instagram for good and I share knowledge and tips and advice and help someone else, then so be it. Because I don't like really being in front of the camera. No, I've got used to it now, but at first I was like talking.
I think you're doing great. The videos are fantastic. You know, we'll put your channel in the description so people can come and see what you're doing and that. Yeah,
thanks. I've just set up a YouTube channel as well, actually, but I've not put anything on it yet.
Right, well...
It's set up,
but I've
not put it on it yet.
We'll do a link to that as well. Send me the link and we'll put that in as well.
Right, cool.
So what's your plans then? Are you going to take this further?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in the next few months, I'm setting up a business, which I'll reveal more. But me and Paul are going to set up a business. Right. And it's just, because I've learnt so much and I'm forever researching. Every single day I research something. Yeah. I'm learning new things all the time. So I've gone from winging it to now knowing exactly what to do and exactly what not to do. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to set up the business and I'm going to just help people detox, because this is the thing, you see. So a lot of disease comes from toxicity and deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a body that's highly toxic, overly stressed, and deficient in essential nutrients and minerals, you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
So I want to help people learn to detox, because detoxification is essential, really, for your body functioning and longevity.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So you could write a book, couldn't you? And there's all sorts you could do, really.
Oh, God, I don't know where to start with that. Oh, God, I don't know where. I did actually start writing a book.
Did you?
But I just got so overwhelmed with it, I just put it to the side.
I mean, it might come when the time's right. You know, everything happens in the divine timing, I believe.
Yeah.
But so, because you set up a business recently, though, didn't you?
Yeah, we were doing organic fruit and veg.
Yeah.
But we was a bit exhausted. I mean, I've been working obviously full time. I've got a child who plays rugby 3 times a week, you know, and he's doing other things. So when I was doing the fruit and veg, we were getting it all delivered to our house, and we're living in temporary accommodation at the minute, and the house is tiny.
Right.
So my front room was absolutely full to the rafters with fruit and veg. And it bloody stunk. You know, and I was like, I can't live like this anymore. Plus I was out delivering fruit and veg for 6 hours every night, like on a Tuesday night, every fortnight, on my own, because Paul's got a business as well.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm not doing this, because we were taking a financial loss every time.
Oh, it's not. You can't work like that, can you? You know, even though you're doing good, you need. Unfortunately, we do need money to get by.
Yeah, we do.
You know, this is the reality of the situation, and you can't exhaust yourself either.
No,
because that'll do you no good, and you'll be back to square one before you know it.
Exactly. Yeah, adrenal fatigue is another thing that I've recently discovered that I have. It's a bit like ME. You're just like absolutely knackered constantly.
Yeah.
No energy, just feeling real lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned as well that can actually be a root cause of other autoimmune disease. So it may have caused, because what happens, you know, when obviously from childhood, if you're in the fight and flight response all the time, your adrenal glands just get burnt out. And
well, again, that's by design, I would imagine, because we live very stressful lifestyles as well, and as they squeeze people financially, and people are full of anxiety, that's going to happen more and more and more, isn't it? So therefore, again, catch-22, you're back to being unwell physically again and wondering why. Yeah,
exactly. So it's managing everything. You know, for me, for the healing, you can't just heal the physical aspects of your being. You've got to heal the emotional.
Yeah.
You've got to heal the spiritual. You've got to heal the psychological. It all matters. It's not just one area. It's all of it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and you've got to sort of. We should really live how they lived before, you know, like in caveman times.
Definitely.
Because they, you know, the hunter-gatherer times, you know, where what I do now is I won't eat when it's dark. You should never eat when it's dark.
Oh, right, okay.
Because when it starts to go dark outside, your brain starts to produce melatonin, which is a sleepy hormone.
Right.
So if you eat while it's dark, you become more insulin resistant, and it makes you gain weight easier, and it's more, you know, it's difficult. It actually really fucks up your hormones.
Right.
To be honest. So, yeah, I eat in line with my hormones, and it's about eating in line with the circadian rhythm. So, like, as soon as you get up in the morning, get outside. Get outside, even if it's chucking it down. Just get outside for 10 minutes and expose yourself to daylight. Yeah. That sets your circadian rhythm.
Interesting.
And it helps your hormones and your adrenals and everything else.
Do you do any earthing as well, or?
Yeah, grounding.
Yeah.
I take dog for a walk in the morning.
Yeah.
And I wear my sliders.
Yeah.
And I stand up grass. I've got to be careful where I stand, so I don't stand in dog wear.
Well, yeah.
Because honestly, that park's a minefield. Yeah. She's like, what's she doing? Oh, she was on weirdo. But yeah, I do that. I actually do ground. I did it yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, but
because we're electronic magnetic beings, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we need to do that.
Absolutely.
And again, I was not aware of it until I started looking at it last year.
Yeah, grounding. It's so important. It reduces inflammation as well.
Apparently, you can do it. I don't know how true it is. You know, if people are living where they don't have grass, they can still do it on concrete, I believe, but you can't do it on tarmac, I heard. I don't know how true that is. You'd have to research, but That's what I heard.
And you can get them mats, can't you? I don't know how effective they are.
I don't know. Yeah, you
personally,
can
I think the ground is better, but
the ground's much better. Obviously, if
Yeah.
you can get your feet on grass and,
Yeah.
and be on there for a period of time, then I notice it in my calves. I can feel it.
Can you?
Yeah, I can feel the change.
I just feel calmer.
It does make
It's
a
like
difference.
an instant calm, innit?
Yeah. It's an amazing thing, and if you can give yourself a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard different things where there's a guy that I follow on Rumble called the Dollar Vigilante, and he's like a guy called Jeff Bowick, and he's become a bit of a hero of mine over the past few years. He's one of the few sort of channels that's kept me sane. He's hilarious with it, you know, fully awake. He's like totally awake, and it's just brilliant. But he wears grounding shoes.
Does he?
Yeah. So wherever he's walking, because he's walked a dog for miles and miles and miles, and he could be on like hard, rough surface with stones and this, that, and the other. Obviously, walking barefoot's never going to be easy. It's the rubber in your shoes that's the problem. It stops the your connection to earth.
Yeah.
So apparently, there's these shoes that I don't think they'll be cheap, but apparently they work.
Oh, right, okay.
And then there's grounding sheets as well, I believe. I don't know how good they are. Again, where you can put them on your bed sheet and
yeah, I've heard about them actually.
Yeah, I've heard about those as well. And again, I don't think they're cheap, but nothing that's good for you is cheap, is it? If it is good for you, I mean, I don't know how you can prove it, but we are living in a very toxic environment, as we're mentioning about sort of our environment, and I don't think we can avoid all of it.
No, we can't. I mean, we come into contact with about 100,000 toxins a day, atmospherically. You know, beauty products, scented candles. People, you walk past people in supermarkets, you can smell their aftershave. Mm-hmm. You know, I've just learned to eliminate it all. So I won't have plug-in air fresheners in my house. I won't have scented candles. Yeah. I'm very careful about the cleaning products that I use. Yeah. I need to find a good brand of washing, you know, for detergent, because that's really toxic as well, and that seeps into your bloodstream when you put your clothes on. There's all these toxins that we come into contact with every single day. But as long as we try and eliminate as many as possible, that's all we can do.
I think that's all you can do. Yeah. And I'm the same. It's, again, just learning stuff. I haven't put aftershave on in maybe 2 years. I don't feel I need to.
I only wear it every now and again.
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful on what I bathe in, but obviously you're still coming from a tap, so you've got whatever's coming out of that. Yeah. And then deodorants, all the chemicals that's in deodorants.
Aluminium.
Yeah, all the heavy metals. Yeah. But then how do you detox the heavy metals? What do you have a protocol?
Yeah, well, I have. There is a specific protocol which I'm going to help people do when I get my business. You know, like where you can actually rid the body of heavy metals.
People don't realise they're full of heavy metals, though. They don't realise it, and this is where a lot of the Alzheimer's and
Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, neurological problems.
Yeah.
All comes from heavy metals, and
it's coming from the sky because I say they're spraying, but they're
the aluminium that they put in the atmosphere that we're all breathing in,
barium or whatever it is, and all that.
Yeah, it is toxic.
It is.
You know.
So you're going to have a protocol soon for when you set up and that.
Infrared saunas, though, that's a big one. I have them regularly. Infrared saunas. Because they make you sweat deep, you know, so they heat your body up from the inside and you sweat out all of your toxins. Okay. It can help reduce inflammation. Right. They're really beneficial.
That's really interesting as well.
Thermopod UK. So if anybody, you know, is looking for if they're in like the Merseyside area, it's only 25 minutes from Leyland, 25 minutes in the car. Yeah. But they're great as well, Thermopod UK, and they do it on the cheap really, because they're good lads and they set it up to help the community.
That's great.
They're really good lads. They've got good hearts. You know, they've already got a business together, these two lads, Daniel and Matthew. Yeah. But they've set up this Thermopod UK.
I love that.
To help people. They're really nice.
That's great, that.
Yeah.
Good on them.
Yeah, they're good lads.
We need more people like that, really.
We do. Yeah, they're really nice.
That's really, really good. So what about detoxing heavy metals? Is there a diet that you come across, or you know, is there anything there? I mean, I know that I've got a rife machine and a scaler kit, and I use that occasionally. I need to use it more, to be honest with you. But you can detox with frequencies. Yeah. Which I find fascinating as well.
I need to learn more about that. I'm interested.
It's fascinating. Yeah. I need to learn more about it as well. I mean, I've got the kit, but it's just a journey, isn't it? Everything's a journey. You're trying to learn as much as you can and
And that's
master
the thing
yourself.
with healing. It is a journey. It's not a race.
No.
You know, and this is when you embark on a journey of healing, you have to be patient with yourself.
You do.
Because that disease did not manifest overnight.
No.
It builds up over a period of years before you get symptoms. So you've got to be patient with yourself. And I've got so much healing left to do. But
that's a good thing in a way, because it's like you know that, and that journey continues in a way, so that pushes you forward. So you know that you've got. I think we never stop healing.
No,
I don't think that'll ever stop.
No,
it could be because we're always going to come across something in life that affects you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In a negative way that you're going to have to.
Grief
exactly. So there's always going to be healing to be done.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think though, if you are on top of your own physical health like you've done, anything that's coming in like that is probably easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Because you're physically healthier and stronger, and your mindset's going to be stronger, isn't it? Because you're eating the right stuff and your body's producing the right chemicals.
Yeah. Yeah, because what you eat today becomes tomorrow's cells.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true that.
Yeah. I need to stop eating cheese sandwiches, me.
You're all right if it's raw, if it's unpasteurised organic cheese.
Yeah. But
this is the thing as well, the dairy. That's another inflammatory part of the inflammatory core for the dairy.
Right.
It's so inflammatory, you know, especially when it's pasteurised, because it's heated so high that it kills off all the beneficial bacteria. Okay. So if you're going to have dairy, like I was giving my son raw dairy, raw milk. There's a farming couple that sells raw milk.
Right.
And the cows are grass-fed, so you know that the milk is good quality, and it's full of essential probiotics and nutrients that our bodies desperately need. Whereas if you buy it from a supermarket, you're just drinking liquid inflammation, basically.
Wow.
It's really not good for you.
Wow.
And cheese, you know, I mean, cheese is so addictive. I absolutely love cheese.
Cheese is very addictive.
But I have organic Gruyere.
Yeah,
because it's unpasteurised.
Yeah. And where do you get that from?
Waitrose have it.
Right.
And you can get it from, I think, Abel and Cole.
Right.
And, Abel and Cole, I think they're organic. Yeah, they are.
Gosh, it really crying out for a sort of a centralised area where people can get such great products for the goodness of themselves, really.
Definitely, because I have to go to loads of different places to get my food because I'm really picky now. I've become a bit of a food snob.
But that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, if you didn't do that, your Crohn's is likely to come back, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you need to.
Yeah. See, I'll only buy my meat from the Green Cow as well, in Withnell.
I've been to the Green Cow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I love Andrew and his wife.
He's great. Yeah. They're
doing
fantastic. Good. They are doing good. And they do it right, and it's all ethical.
It is.
Yeah.
Organically fed cows.
That's right.
That are not jabbed or drugged in any way. So you know that meat that you're eating is clean, because you've got to remember, it's not the animal products that's the issue. It's what the animals are fed that's the issue, because what they eat, you eat. Well,
exactly. So it's part of that learning journey of you know, all those wonderful, beautiful animals that are out there grazing away, and they're eating all grass that's sprayed with shit.
Exactly.
And that gets into and then it's a constant cycle, isn't it? It really messes with your head if you allow it to.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people do their own research and look into it, but not get bogged down by it, but make changes, I suppose, you know. That's what I did, just slowly. I'm far from perfect. I still eat a load of crap, but I have improved.
Yeah.
And I felt from the depression I was feeling last year, the change of the food, the change of the water, because I don't drink tap water, obviously, at all. You know, these things make a massive, massive difference.
That'll be a gut microbiome, that.
Yeah.
So because because you've improved your gut health, your mental health will come better. That's what happened to me. You know, like during all this COVID stuff, you know, I hit rock bottom. Mentally, I hit rock bottom. I was really depressed, suicidal, didn't want to get up in the morning, didn't care if I got hit by a bus. But the only thing that kept me going really was Paul and my son.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously, my son, I mean, he's just everything to me. He's the whole reason I breathe, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but as soon as I started to improve my Crohn's and my gut health, everything else got better.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
It's amazing, yeah. So that's why your gut is so, so important for every function of your body. So
and life's for living and enjoying. We're not here to suffer.
No, exactly.
We're not here to suffer. I think we're just put in a challenging. It's like I say it's like a video game we're in now. Reality is not what we think it is. This is my take on it. It's like a video game.
Yeah.
But the algorithms and all the challenges are there in place, and that includes your body and everything else, and trying to master these things for an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
And you are distracted by a million things, and you're in a toxic environment, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's how you master enough of that to enjoy life.
Exactly.
As you should. And I think you're doing amazing. And you'll have to come back when you've set everything up as well.
Yeah, definitely, I will.
And talk about that, because I think people will want to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely.
What in terms of, so you're not going to do the organic fruit and veg anymore kind of thing, but is there somewhere that, obviously you're not growing food yourself, are you? Because you don't have the space.
No, don't have the space yet, no.
I suppose in a way that it's a natural thing to say, you recommend trying stuff like that and try and growing your own food. And
oh yeah, I'll try. Definitely. As I say, Paul's just got an allotment with his mate, so he's going to be growing stuff down there, which is what we've always wanted to do, what he's always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I just literally, at the minute, I'm just sourcing my organic produce from loads of different places.
Wherever you can.
Yeah, because I don't like stuff in plastic.
No.
Because, like there was a study done a few years ago, I can't remember who it was by now, but they were saying about how much plastic is in our body.
Yeah.
Or, have you got plastic in your body? It's not a case, have we? It's how much. Because we are so full of... And the thing is as well, plastics and stuff there and pesticides and all that, they're endocrine disruptors. So they really mess up your hormones.
Right.
So this is, I don't like buying stuff in plastics. I will, obviously, if I can't find anything else. But as soon as I get home, it's out the plastic. Do you know what I mean? Take it out the plastic.
It's going on in my head. It's like it cracks me up. this just stop oil bollocks, right? Because it just cracks me up because everything is wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
Everything's in plastic. And if they wanted to go down the route of if that was a real thing, which is we know that full of shit, but if they really wanted to solve that situation, just stop wrapping everything up in fucking plastic in the supermarkets and everything else.
I know.
We don't get that abroad. For it.
You don't get it abroad.
No, you don't.
That's why me and Paul love Greece, because you go to Greece, and I love Greece, by the way. I really want to live there.
Yeah.
The people, the food, the climate, everything, I love it. But when you go in their shops, everything's out, fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
It's not even wrapped up in plastic. All this fruit and veg, you can just go and pick it. Put it in a paper bag.
But that's what it used to be like when we were kids. You used to go to a greengrocer's and it were paper bags.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be like.
Yeah.
So all this corporatism that's been happening over the years, all the big supermarkets, when they destroyed all the little markets and all the little shops, destroyed all the small towns and villages, and everyone just goes to Asda and Tesco and Sainsbury's. But everything's wrapped up in plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's our fault, and they'll tax the peasants.
I know.
It's just mad, isn't it?
I know.
It's just mental.
And we're being poisoned from every angle and all.
By every angle, they're chucking everything at us.
Yeah.
But we're here to change the world.
We need to change the world.
No, I think we are the change.
I think at the minute.
I think it's gone so far now.
Yeah.
We're the bridge. I think our generation is the bridge. We're looking at it because we recognise the change from our childhood. We see all that change, and we see the tech that's coming in as well, the AI and all that, and that's another thing.
Yeah.
Different topic, obviously, altogether. But we're seeing what changes are coming for our children and our future grandchildren, and we are the change. If we don't make that change, then they'll not know any different.
Yeah, I know.
It's down to us as adults now, as the ones it's our responsibility.
I was just going to say that about toxins. It's not just what we eat, it's what we watch.
Yeah.
It's TV.
TV.
Do you know I've not watched any mainstream TV for over 3 years?
Good. Yeah.
Because it is full of negative shite. But the thing is, when you watch the news, there's never anything positive on there. It's all doom and gloom.
Yeah, yeah.
Which then that sets off a reaction. So you start feeling fearful.
Yes.
That causes stress. It lowers the immune system.
That's right, yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
All the time.
So for your health, stop watching the bloody TV.
Definitely. Stop picking up the newspaper.
I'll watch Netflix, and watch a film or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
but that's it. I won't even listen to radio. If I'm in the car and I'm playing music and the news comes on, I switch it off.
I'm the same as you.
Because I just can't be doing it.
Yeah.
For my physical health, I just cannot be listening to that utter bullshit.
But also people as well, Georgie. Yeah. Be careful who you mix with as well. Yeah. Because people will bring you down as well.
That's why I don't have anyone in my life. It's like the people I have in my life is my partner and my son, and that's it. And my mum.
But you're mastering yourself and what you want in your life, because everyone's different, aren't they? Not everyone will want that. But I suppose in a way, just recognise the fact that maybe there's somebody in your life that's creating a toxic environment and make a decision.
I had to cut them off.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's negative or toxic or brings me stress, I don't have dealings with them anymore.
No, I'm at that point. And you know me briefly from the time at the pub. We let everybody in.
Yeah.
Everybody. And I was always like that. I've always been an open book me all my life. But I'm at the point now where I'm going, well, if you're going to affect me in a negative way now, I'll just cut you off now.
Yeah.
Because I don't need that in my life. I'm trying to experience life in a much more positive way for me and for my family.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage and still help everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been like that. That's part of who I am. Yeah. But I'm not going to accept anyone bringing me down anymore.
No, you can't.
Because why should you?
Exactly. It's your health. It affects everything.
It affects everything. And then if it affects your health, it then affects your kids.
Yes, exactly. It does, So part of my healing has been doing that, cutting toxic people out of my life, including family members who bring me nothing but stress and heartache. So I've had to cut them off for my own health.
And it's difficult to do, but you will probably feel a lot better for it now.
I do. I'm not as stressed anymore.
No.
There's certain individuals in my family who I don't speak to anymore because they bring me down and they cause me heartache, and I just don't need it.
No, you don't. No. It's good for you. Yeah. So what's your plan? And obviously you've got that plan of creating a business. What's the plan now for you? You're still in the NHS, working from home. Is that something you're going to continue doing?
No, I won't be in the NHS much longer. Hopefully, I've grown apart from it now.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm speaking to patients, because when you're in the NHS, you're very limited as to what you can say to people. If you don't stick to script, if you don't stick to traditional.
Well,
NHS
I know
advice.
Speaking to you, you've had that. Yeah. Over the past 3 years, because you recognised what was going on.
Yeah.
And we don't need to say any more than that, but you obviously you felt that you were unable to speak your truth during that period.
Because I was heavily penalised and it got a bit messy.
Yeah.
So I need to sort of come away from that, because and for my own healing as well, because I know that while I'm working in that environment, I'm never going to be completely healed.
Right.
Because every cell of my being knows that it's not right. It's not for me.
It's interesting that, yeah.
So from a spiritual point of view, I need to spread my wings now and move away, fly away, because I just can't. It's just like, for example, with Calpol, for example, when you're telling a parent of a child to, it comes up with the advice or give them Calpol, whatever. I completely disagree with that, because there's an E number in Calpol that actually triggers off eczema and asthma.
Is there?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And if you actually suppress a fever with Calpol, and it's quite toxic as well to the liver.
Mm-hmm.
So if you suppress a fever with Calpol, you're actually delaying that child's healing, and it doesn't prevent febrile convulsions, and it does state that in NICE guidelines. But the body heats up for a reason. So when you get a fever, your body's trying to fight off whatever's causing it to be sick. So if you suppress that fever, prematurely, then you're not going to get better. It's just going to prolong everything, and it can actually make things worse.
Yeah.
And when you look into that and the science behind that, and if I were to say that to a a parent I'd get undrawn and quartered, which is
you would.
wrong. It's all in the legislation. I'm not making it up.
No.
But if you don't stick to script, you get heavily penalised. And this is what I really struggle with, because I've got all this knowledge and I know how to really help people, because, well, it's not healthcare, is it?
Well,
it's sick care, isn't it?
Becoming the natural nurse that you're heading towards is where is going to be more your path, then, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think once you find that you're on your proper soul path, your proper soul journey, then everything's just going to open up for you, because you're not actually being restricted anymore. So you'll just probably find that you're just going to fly then.
Yeah.
And everything will go the way you want it to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the law of attraction, I believe, anyway. I don't know much about it.
I do. Yeah.
I think that's the way it goes. I find that, since we started this, things have just been amazing.
Opened up a lot of doors and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think once you're on a bit more of what your purpose, that's when doors start opening.
Yeah.
So it's like removing energy. It's like energy that's holding you back, kind of thing. When you remove that energy, then things flow better.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
And that could be people.
Yeah.
It could be people, but it could be a job. And once you have that bravery to go, right, well, I'm stepping out of that because it's not serving me anymore, then you'll find that the energy starts flowing.
I mean, it's going to dwindle off bit by bit,
Of course.
I've got rid of one job. I'm just doing bits for...
Yeah.
I mean, there is one service I work for, which I love, Dorset. I work for Dorset, and the service is great because they're really patient-focused and they really care.
Nice. Yeah.
And they're really nice to work for, and they're just a great bunch of staff. And if you've ever got concerns, you can voice them without being penalised, and it's a really, really nice environment. But that is like very few and far between, but I'm just going to come away because it's just not me anymore.
No.
I don't feel like I help anyone anymore.
You are going to be in a position where you recognise the fact that you taking responsibility for your own health is the way forward. Yeah. And you'll be able to inspire others to do exactly the same, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You will definitely have to come back when you've got everything moving.
Oh, yeah, I will, definitely.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Please subscribe. I mean, we really need that feedback as well. So if you've got any comments, leave them below, hit like, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Georgie.